because I'm about to show you what our small homestead business got for Christmas. All right, here it is. This is what I've been wanting for a long time. This is exactly what our homestead needed for Christmas. We're to the level where this is a necessity almost. I mean, our compost pile is just piling up. Dad said, you might as well take your grandpa's old skid steer. I got a newer one, and I don't really use it much anymore. Actually, that was a couple months ago. I decided to take it to a local guy. I took it to him and had him completely overhaul the engine. And I did that for multiple reasons. For one, I think it's smart to get it done now and being able to use it for a lot of years without having any major maintenance done to it. And two, because it's my grandpa's, and I've always, since I was a little kid, I've always wanted antique tractor that belonged to the family, and my grandpa never had any of his. They were all sold long before I was around, so I never got that opportunity. This Bobcat fills that for me. You know, I remember the day my grandpa got it. He was extremely excited. My grandparents used to watch us during the day while my parents were at work. They were retired dairy farmers, and my grandpa had a few beef cattle and some horses at that time. So he told me he was getting a Bobcat, and obviously as a little 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid, I thought for sure that he was getting the animal Bobcat. And he played that up. He really liked jokes and playing into jokes like that and messing with us kids. So he played that up, and I remember sitting in their living room. They had a register on the floor. It was an old farmhouse, so he'd always sit there next to that register. They had an oil burning furnace in the basement, and if you have ever been in a house with an oil burning furnace, that sucker is hot when it turns on. We used to take the tin that we'd keep the crayons in and put it on there and melt crayons. Grandma never really liked that much, but it was hot when it turned on, and he loved that. And that window right there looked out to the barn. So I remember as a kid him telling me all about it, and finally it pulls up. And I remember just being so relieved when that truck pulled up with this Bobcat on it that no, it wasn't an animal, it was a tractor. And I remember him laughing so hard. I'm sitting at that window, staring out that window, and I was excited too then. You know, I was extremely excited. And I told him, no, I did want to ride on it now. Before, he said, you want to ride on it? No, I'm not going to ride on no Bobcat. So this Bobcat's definitely special to me for that reason, and I'll never get rid of it. Now that I got it completely overhauled, I want to run it for a year or two, and then I want to get it completely repainted. When he got it, I'm pretty sure when he got it, because it was an older machine when he got it. It was probably 10 years old at that point, and I'm pretty sure it was completely repainted when he got it. I mean, it looked nice, and so I'd love to get it redone like that one of these days. And even though my dad got rid of it because it doesn't handle round bales well, for me it handles them perfectly. All I'm trying to do is get them from the driveway into the barn, so that's really not that big of a deal. Or move them around, because when my buddy Andrew drops them off, we just tip them off the trailer. This way I can move them around. I mean, 2 weeks before this thing was done, I had Andrew bring me a 4th cutting round bale, and I didn't want it getting wet. For one, it wasn't in a bag, and for two, it's good, really good hay, and I was going to feed a little bit of it at a time to the milk cows. So I spent an hour rolling it because it was going to rain. So I spent an hour rolling it from the driveway around into the back of the barn, tipped it up, and got it in front of the cows. And it's the whole time I was thinking, man, if only that Bobcat was done. And so now I'm able to just drive up, stab the spear into the round bales, and take off with it. It's great. So the bucket on this thing is definitely getting kind of rough. I'm sure it's the original bucket that it came with when my grandpa got it. Maybe the bucket was always on it. I don't know. but it's starting to get a few little holes in it. It definitely still works, but that got me down the rabbit hole of attachments for it. But also with the bucket, I wanted some pallet forks, and then I saw on Facebook, a Facebook ad, this small grapple, and I thought that was perfect for box stalls. If you ever tried to pitch out a box stall, you know that it really sticks together. If you got that grapple, you can grab it and actually pull it apart, and it works way better. And this does have hydraulics on the front for the attachments. It's low flow hydraulics, so I'm not going to be able to run something like a brush hog, most likely. They did make low flow attachments for this, like a broom and stuff like that, but they're extremely hard to find. Everything now is high flow, but for most everything I'm going to do, it works perfectly fine. So while I was looking for attachments, there's quite a few ads on Facebook for these smaller attachments. This Storm company, they seem to build really good stuff, and they were doing a lot of that smaller stuff that I needed for my Bobcat, because you got to remember, the more weight of your attachment, the less weight you can then pick up with it. So I think the technical tipping point of this Bobcat is 800 pounds, I believe it says. So, I mean, if you get an attachment that's 400 pounds, well, now you're only picking up 400 pounds with the Bobcat. So I had to be careful there. And Storm seemed to do a really good job building this smaller stuff, especially the 4-foot grapple I seen with one thumb. That looked really, really nice for my machine. So I looked up dealers, found one in Hamilton, and I get there, and they don't have any of the stuff in stock, and they buy and sell heavy equipment. And the guy was just like, what do you want this smaller stuff for? I told him I wanted the 2,000-pound forks, and he's like, I don't even mess with those. He wanted more money than what I seen the stuff advertised for, and also he wanted me to pay shipping to get it to him, and then I had to go pick it up from him. And I was like, you know what, this just doesn't sound good. So I left that guy. Even though it said to get with one of their dealers, I ended up calling Storm directly. I'm like, look, I talked to this guy, not really liking him. I'm not really wanting to give him my money. He said, well, I can sell to you direct and ship to you, but I can't give you any deals on stuff. You'll get a better deal through one of my dealers. So he said, why don't you talk to Nate? He's in Greenville, which isn't too far from you, and he'll be able to give you a lot better deal than I'll be able to. And I was texting back and forth with him. We worked out a deal on the 3 things. I wanted the 48-inch grapple, the 2,000-pound forks, and what they call a trailer spotter. And what that is a plate that goes on the front of the Bobcat, and then you can put in a hitch like you would on the back of your truck. And I really wanted that to move my trailer around. So like in the back of my barn, because I have that compost bunk, it's hard to get the trailer back there with the truck, or any vehicle really. I mean, it's almost impossible with a truck. So with this trailer spotter, I can move that trailer with a skid steer, and I'll be able to weasel that trailer right into the back of the barn if I need to. So then I'm texting him, he's getting my information. He says, yep, you're a little out of my delivery zone, but I'll deliver it to you for $50. And I'm like, that's amazing. I'm sold on that. And he said, can Saturday work? I said, Saturday's the only day that'll work, so that's great. And then I was asking him about a bucket. He didn't have a 54-inch bucket, but he had a 60-inch. So I ended up going with a 60-inch bucket, and I plan on using that to haul wood and all the stuff that's not dirty and manure. So I'm really excited what he got. If anybody's looking for anything, he's in Greenville, Michigan. He's got a lot of great equipment, great to work with. So look up Nate at CTS Equipment and see what he's got for you to help you out. And no, Nate didn't pay me for this, but he treated me right.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Is that a great idea?